I got into my first serious relationship when I was 17 years old. I was head over heels for him. I thought, this is it. This is my knight in shining armor. This is my happy ending. I let him become my priority over school. My grades suffered, and I just barely graduated. Shortly after graduation, I discovered I was pregnant. I was terrified. Something in me believed that if I just ignored it, it would go away. Poof, I'm no longer pregnant. I knew deep down that we weren't ready. However, I ignored those gut feelings. I began college and I loved being around others who were as motivated as I was. Even with the morning sickness, I made it to class and did well. I was already in labor for 2.5 days when my mother and boyfriend came with me to the hospital to be admitted. These were the hardest 3 days of my life. My mother stood by my side and advocated for me. When the epidural didn't work, she made sure it was fixed. When I spiked a fever, she held a cold compress on my head. Where was my boyfriend? Oh, he was sleeping in the delivery room in a chair off to the side. The nurses had to keep stepping over his feet to get to me. This made me enraged. After this, I still tried to make things work with him for my son. I then discovered that he was romantically involved with other women. My boyfriend and I decided to separate. He was going to move to North Carolina to live with his mom. I planned for him to leave at night when my son was asleep. As we were at the front door, my son came down the stairs. His father picked him up, hugged and kissed him, and placed him back on the floor when his cab arrived. I picked him up and held him in my arms. While his father walked out the door and down the walkway, my son cried and banged on the door. His father didn't look back. This broke my heart. At this moment, more than ever, I knew I had to protect my son. I didn't care what other people's opinions were. I was no longer going to take any crap from anyone. I had to learn to be strong for myself and my son. I wanted him to be able to look up to me and draw strength from me. I wanted him to know I will always do best by him. Now that he's a very kind, funny, sociable, creative, intelligent, and outspoken 7-year-old, I know that I did best by him.